The Sugar Man.
Sugar Man.
Sugar Man. I want it to be Sugar. Sugar Man. So the Sugar Man coming out June 5th, expected date.
Yes.
That's Nicolás Obregón's newest work, his newest book. I'm excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
We've been talking to him about it off air for years, it seems.
Yeah, it seems like it.
So that's exciting. I don't know if that's just UK release or here or everywhere or but I would like a copy, and I want to read it and actually have him on air to discuss the book that we read.
Yeah.
Not, hey, I read Blue Light Yokohama before he came on the first time.
And I was like halfway through it.
Yeah, so that was almost something. We didn't talk to him about Sins of Scarlet after reading it. I don't, like maybe years after, so it wasn't fresh. And then Unknown Mail, I don't think we ever talked to him on air about that. So we're kind of striking out with doing his works justice.
Right.
So Sugar Man, we can actually do a real premiere since I actually like his works. And it's funny because I've been looking for like a noir crime thriller type of book, and I cannot find one written in a style I like. And then I was thinking, well, the style I like is actually Nicolás Obregón style, because when I originally looked up the like Japanese noirs, he was on a list.
Right.
That's how I found Blue Light Yokohama, which is funny because he's not even Japanese. But I was like, oh, here's a cool book, and then I really liked his style, and then I'm like, well, that's the style I want, but I still can't find that anywhere else. So he needs to write a lot more books.
Yeah, that would be nice.
That's it. That's all I got.
That's all you got?
Sugar Man.
Sugar Man.
Today's a fuck around episode anyway.
And they're going to find out.
They're going to find out that we
don't know what we'll talk about.
No, I think we got more YouTube comments I should probably attend to at some point.
Ooh.
Are
they just like racist nonsense? Like,
I think someone liked one of our videos, not video, audio
clips
masquerading as a video, a picture. Yeah, somebody, I think they just said thank you because, what was it? How to write dialogue better than Stephen King episode. I think it was. I think it's the most recent comment I saw. I don't ever look. The main thing is I don't check our email.
Oh. And
I disabled
it come up.
Yeah, so when I go on there, I see all these guest requests and all this shit. I was like, well, that was 2 months ago. I might as well just ignore it and be a dickhead. Yeah. But yeah, it shows me the comments on that because I don't ever really check on the YouTube thing unless it, every week when I upload the video, sometimes I'll notice, sometimes I don't. But that's about it. I don't know. We're writing stuff, reading stuff. But what I say today's a fuck around episode because we are recording a double.
So
I'm going on vacation soon.
Yeah.
I'm going to the mountains. What mountains? I'm not telling. I don't want our fans to hound me on vacation. I hate that. It's the worst.
You could just have them the wrong mountains. Mm-hmm. Be like, you're going to the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah, I guess I could do that. I'm going to the Rocky Mountains. Going to northern Canada.
Yeah.
Northern Canada. So, the North Pole. That's wrong. I'm not really awake yet. I slept in and then I just didn't want to get up and I don't want to do anything. But yeah, I remember TMZ was hounding you for a while, remember?
Yeah.
They were like fucking following you around.
You step out of a car one time not wearing any underwear and 2 baggy of shorts and they...
Well, to be fair, it wasn't shorts. It wasn't shorts. It was a skirt. And you got out like old school Paris Hilton or Britney Spears from the early 2000s.
I just walked out of the car.
It was odd. It wasn't your car. You just got into somebody's limo. You were inebriated. You had white powder under your nose. I'm assuming it was from a powdered donut.
Yes.
You ate too vigorously.
Yeah.
Not some illegal substance because we're a wholesome podcast. We wouldn't do.
Nope.
Well, you wouldn't do things like that.
No.
I'm a degenerate. I wish I was a degenerate. That'd be nice to be able to do drugs, I think.
Yeah.
Like I envy people who could do drugs and don't get drug tested at their real jobs, quote unquote, quote real. I don't think anything's a real job anymore. Right. Even if you're a doctor, I feel like now you're just a scam artist. It's not a real job. What's a job you'd consider? We'll end it on this. What's a job you'd consider an actual real job?
I like construction.
Construction?
Something, some kind of labor, like heavy labor.
I'm not equating difficulty with being a real job because you could work.
Well, no, but I say that because like a lot of times, like stuff like that, you're actually like, like in construction, you're making something. Yeah. So you can be like, oh, that building, I made that building. Like,
fair.
Other than like if I was just, pushing papers around in an office or a manager at like, Dairy Queen or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but what if you get hired to build a camp, a specific kind of camp on the outskirts, maybe an island somewhere on the outskirts of the United States because government contract.
Yeah.
And you say, I built that camp.
You just have a little plaque in front
of it. A nice summer camp is what we're getting at. Not a summer camp that makes you think real hard. It's not the right use of the word.
No.
But, I don't know where we're going with this. But anyway, today we're going to be discussing, we did this last episode too. I don't know when I'm posting this episode. recently we discussed in the cold open Storytellers tier list. We just named some random authors. I'm going to actually go through a list, at least the ones we've read. We're going to put them on our tier list and maybe talk a little bit about why we think they are or are not good storytellers. Because they don't, being a good writer doesn't exclusively mean you're a good storyteller.
Right.
As we've come to learn over these past few years of diving deeper into more literary fare. Also have a YouTube channel I want you to check out.
Okay.
The guy is like supremely douchey, but also has good
like advice and insights?
Topics.
Okay.
No, I wouldn't listen to his advice, but he has good topics I found very interesting. I will name one of them. It was a Yukio Mishima, because that's why I like it. You read some of these more obscure authors that I like.
Okay.
But I do not agree with a lot of his things. And I didn't watch the video. I just read the title and watched the intro, so he might not actually have this opinion. It might have just been Yukio Mishima's opinion. But the title of the video was something along the lines and also I said the guy's douchey. I only watched one video. I don't know if he's douchey. I was watching Confederacy at Dunce's.
Oh, okay.
That's why I saw him. And he wasn't douchey in that video. He just, which he even said, people think he's condescending sometimes. It was a lit bro. So, take that with, how you will. But the video was something along the lines of Yukio Mishima thinking that the future of literature would be, just like genre stuff or people writing not real works, like, and it was a picture of him saying like great, and then like a picture of Stephen King saying nerd or something, like arrow pointing to Stephen King, saying Stephen King essentially. I don't even know if Stephen King actually comes up in the video, but saying like his kind of writing isn't.
I do find that a lot. Like I will see like people using for their thumb clips or even for like articles or pictures in articles of like something like that, and they have a picture of Stephen King.
He's not even in the list.
Yeah, but then he's not even in the list. It's like
it's just clickbait. It's good rage bait, I think they call it. But again, I didn't really follow the thing. I just thought it was interesting because apparently Yukio Mishima's opinion was you should write real works of fiction. And the guy had a couple videos like this because there's some Cormac McCarthy talking about, which was interesting about the future or modern fiction just sucks. Like it wasn't like he was like people don't want to read Moby Dick size fiction anymore. I was like that's fair. But anyway, the Yukio Mishima thing I thought was interesting because we both read Life for Sale, which was like a funny noir. So he wasn't above writing, at least, I don't know when he came out with that quote, but at least at some point in his career, he wasn't above writing entertainment. I think that's what it was. It was like writing real meaningful fiction versus just writing entertainment. And apparently writing entertainment's bad. I was like, but he wrote entertainment.
Right, yeah.
He wrote that Star book too I read, which I think was more of like a entertaining, it was like about an actor or actress or something, I forget. But it's like you wrote stuff like that. Like, cause he was in the pulp genre. I mean, he wasn't writing in the pulp genre necessarily, but he was from that era. So I think we have evolved to a point where it's like probably too much entertainment. But I don't agree with that. But I just thought it was funny because like I don't think that was brought up I looked in the comments and I didn't see anybody talking about it. Like he wrote Life for Sale.
Yeah.
And he might have. I don't know if that's the only noir type of book he wrote. But I think
then maybe playing devil's advocate, you could just be like, well, that was the absurdity and nonsense of it all was in itself an essence of what I mean.
It's a translation, but I don't think that came off as satire to me. Like how Confederacy at Dunce's is supposed to be like a satire. I don't think so. But anyway, we'll talk storytellers, and maybe we'll see if Yukio Mishima falls on this list. I'll probably bring up some authors that aren't on the list that I like, so I don't know how long it will be, but hopefully 30 minutes. You're listening to the Drunken Pen Writing Podcast. I'm your host, Caleb James. With me, as always, Spencer, the Utah Uvula Undulator Church.
The back of the throat. Okay.
Not a vagina thing.
I was worried you were going to go somewhere with that.
Well, you were a uterus something or
other.
That's
what I thought. Yeah.
And there's not too many body. I don't know why it always has to be a body part. It doesn't. It could have been anything. It could have been urchin. You could have been the Utah urchin undulator. Yeah. Also, I think I use undulator because there's not many verbs with the U that I know.
Yeah.
Despite being a writer of some substance, I am not the best with words off the top of the dome.
Well, sometimes there's just not that many of a
certain,
when you're looking for, something like that.
Yeah, you're correct. Today, we're going to be doing a storyteller's tier list. I'm going to go through this list of greatest authors of all time.
Oh.
Just off of Google. And we'll just go through and see where these fall.
Okay.
I figured that'd be the easiest. We'll do the S to F.
S to F.
Yeah, so
Okay.
S, superb. I don't know what the S ever stands for. Supreme.
I think super.
Sinister.
What depends who's on the list.
Maybe, yeah. Number 1, Adolf. No. Yeah, again. Is this BuzzFeed again? Oh, shit. Here's Haagen-Dazs.
Got duped.
All right. So number 1 on this list, I mean, even though I could say the language is probably pretty difficult to follow for modern readers, it's got to be S tier, William Shakespeare.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't...
We're still using all of his stories and basically just retelling them to this day. Number 2, I have not read enough of her work. If I just go by the one book I have read, To the Lighthouse, I will say I would not put her on the SABC. Virginia Woolf.
Okay.
I would have to put her, just based off of that one, on the F.
Wow.
That's the only book. It's like a modernist bullshit stream of consciousness. It's the book where it's just like you don't even know what's happening.
Okay.
No. I liked it. I actually liked the book. It just in writing tier list. Yeah, maybe we'll do that separately one day. Like actual just greatest writers. But for the storytelling, I can't judge her, so she's not on the list.
Okay.
Leo Tolstoy. I would imagine he is S or A tier, but I have not read him yet. I haven't read Anna Karenina or War and Peace, but the fact that he wrote both of those makes me think that he's probably, one of the top 2.
Well, I mean, were those supposed to be known for those? Because I always just think of more of like the more literature, like, I
think War and Peace, well, Anna Karenina apparently is one of the greatest stories ever told, so I'd imagine that's going to be up there. War and Peace is like a grand epic, like a military epic, so I would imagine as well, to make that entertaining, it has to be a good story. Next up, this guy, I would put a solid A, Ernest Hemingway.
Okay.
Because, like, if we went writing, I wouldn't put him up at maybe a C, B. But just storytelling, I feel like that's kind of his whole gimmick, right?
Okay.
Though, if you went, like, fantasy, like, fantastical elements, or even just, like, straight fiction, like, oh, this isn't from someone's real life.
It'd be at D.
Yeah, it'd be lower because he wasn't very imaginative. Basically, all his stories, like, For Whom the Bell Tolls and stuff, were just, like, his experience. And then, or people he knew or saw, or he was almost like a Chuck Palahniuk where he did a lot of studying and talking to people and then created the stories off of that.
Could you say almost like maybe it wouldn't work because there wouldn't have been enough time, but could you say like maybe he's like the kind of like the beginning of like the historical fiction?
I would probably put Tolstoy with War and Peace with that. Right. If you want to talk about, historical fiction, because that's got to be the top, I would imagine. But I could see. I mean, I would say he was the precursor to gonzo journalism, Hunter S. Thompson's, because that's what Hemingway was basically a journalist who turned that style of writing into fiction. But he was almost just reporting stories, which is interesting. F. Scott Fitzgerald. I only read The Great Gatsby.
But you liked that, didn't you?
Yeah. I'd put him at a B.
Okay.
Maybe a C. I haven't read enough of his work. I only read that, maybe some short stories. I don't think he was like a top tier storyteller. It's hard too when someone just has one story that like stands above almost everything.
Yeah.
So like a Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird, you'd be like, oh yeah, she got to be S tier, right? But that's the only thing she wrote.
Yeah.
Like really? So could you judge that? I don't know. I wouldn't put her on the list. I guess we should add some parameters. You have to have at least multiple works of some merit to be able to qualify.
No one-hit wonders.
No one-hit wonders. Jane Austen. I would imagine she's got to at least be an A tier, but I haven't read it. James Joyce. I would put James Joyce D. No, because he did The Dead, which is considered one of the greatest short stories of all time. So I'll put him at a C.
C?
Yeah, but like Ulysses, come the fuck on, man. If you want to tell a story in the most complicated way that pisses everybody off, A. Oh, Finnegan's Wake, S. There you go.
Super S, double S.
Somebody an alien's reading this, and that's the only way they can understand is because there's supreme knowledge. Maybe then, yeah. But no, I would put him at most a C. George Orwell, I think's got to get an S.
Yeah.
Animal Farm was amazing. I haven't even read his other stuff, but come on, I know it. I know it. Gabriel Garcia Marquez, I have not read his work yet. We talked about him recently, actually.
Yeah, I was gonna say
100 Years of Solitude and Love in the Time of Cholera. But I would imagine he's got to be S or A because his works apparently are fantastic. That's one thing neither of us gotten into yet is like the South American magical realism fiction.
Yeah.
Which is a huge genre. We need to start reading probably him. This next guy, I'd probably put it a Q.
Q.
Terrible.
Wow.
Stephen King.
Ah, yes.
Obviously, he's got to be S tier because that's what he's known for is the story.
Again, like you were saying, that's almost like the gimmick is it's more
Story
over...
Which is fine. Which I'm sure this next guy will come up on. Oh, I see him on the list a little down the ways. He's on par with me as a modern Mark Twain.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're a storyteller. That's why you're famous. Next up, John Steinbeck. I put him at S tier. I love Steinbeck.
Yeah, I've only read a little, but yeah.
Agatha Christie. I only read Murder on the Orient Express, but with the mysteries, and you have to be a good storyteller to make those fun. I'd put her at a B.
And again, and like I've heard like all of her stuff is like pretty good.
I mean, she might be higher. That's not necessarily my genre of choice. I would say that she's a good storyteller, though stop just because of the time she was writing. I'm not a huge fan of the way the stories are told necessarily. Just the language and, it's...
But again, it's more product of its time.
Yeah, exactly. But it's still solid. Franz Kafka, that's a difficult one.
Yeah.
I mean, with the metamorphosis and the imagination, I would give him an A. I don't think he had enough completed... I don't think he actually had a full novel.
Yeah, because
that was completed.
Because I get that collection a couple trips ago to the bookstore, but I haven't had a chance to crack it open yet.
Yeah, I mean his stories were always about the absurd and bureaucracy and all this nonsense. So I would give him a high B or a low A. You know? I think that's fair. Fyodor Dostoevsky, I think he's got to be S tier because goddamn, Crime and Punishment was amazing. It's also hard with these translations. Like, you have to get a good translation.
Yeah.
But that Crime and Punishment I read was fucking amazing. So, just off of Notes from the Underground was okay. Those are the only two things of his I read, but I could see, like, obviously, Brothers Karamazov is one of the greatest novels, apparently. The Idiot. Like, I don't see this guy not being a good storyteller. Next up, also S tier. The question is, would you put him higher than Stephen King? Mark Twain. One Samuel Clemens. Would you say the original... Not the original, because Charles Dickens, I think, preceded him, maybe. Were they around the same time? Close.
Yeah, I think close, yeah.
Because obviously Dickens is going to be S tier.
Yeah.
But Mark Twain, I think, the only knock on Mark Twain is I don't think he had enough.
Like a lot of work, right?
I mean, he had a good bit, I guess, but just as far as like novels and stuff, and the fact that he was writing at the time period where it doesn't necessarily reflect modern sensibilities in a way that we would like. You're not going to go into Mark Twain and be like, other than maybe Huck Finn and Tom Sawyer, be like, oh, I'm going to enjoy this to the same degree. Like a Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court, I think, is kind of dry. But he had that Jane, the fuck was that? The Joan of Arc book.
Oh, okay.
Not Jane. Joan of Arc, that book apparently was his favorite. I guess that was really good. But I still got... He made his living basically being a stand-up. Yeah. Going around telling
that's what
stories.
They say he was kind of like one of the first stand-ups.
Yeah, because he went around telling stories, and I think Mark Twain's got to be S tier all the way. Right next, Charles Dickens, S tier. The only knock on him, again, would be more of the Victorian language, if you're not a fan of that. But we're not talking about language. We're talking about storytelling, and he has some of the most enduring stories of all time. A Christmas Carol.
You're right.
You can't fucking go through any Christmas in the U.S. without seeing a Christmas Carol in some iteration.
Yeah, I was going to say, and how many, again, that's one of those things that people have taken that story and put their own, like, spin and take and stuff on it.
That and Great Expectations, Oliver Twist, A Tale of Two Cities. Yeah. God damn, the guy's fucking... Usually... An author would be grateful if they could do one of those. Just one of those books, and that'd be like, that's my masterpiece. No,
I know I would be.
This motherfucker was pumping them out weekly, it seems. This one I would... that's tough. Emily Dickinson. She was like poetry, so I wouldn't even put her on the list.
I wouldn't know.
John Ronald Reuel Tolkien. J.R.R. Tolkien. I never seen his name. Reuel? R-E-U-E-L. Tolkien, S.
Yeah, I would think.
Come on. If you don't think the Tolkien's S tier, you're a fucking asshole. Oh, I don't like the songs. Well, fuck your butt. That's what I say. The songs are a part of it. Read the fucking songs. Don't skip them. Don't skip them. Sing them out loud and dance. Be merry.
I don't care if you might be on your break at work in the lunchroom.
All right, next up is our first bit of controversy.
Okay.
And man, I really saw some things about her just yesterday or the day before because of they passed some trans thing in UK. J.K. Rowling. Story. I haven't read Harry Potter.
I haven't read any of the Harry Potter books.
I would imagine. Aren't they just rip-offs, though, of other...
I mean...
I don't want to say it is.
Star Wars?
Yeah. Star Wars. I fucking think that she's a bitch. I'm sorry, I do. But not to... No, okay, you can have your views, but when you're as rich as she is, you could just choose to do nothing.
Yeah.
Like in regards to causing social outrage and all this stuff. You just keep your opinions to yourself. She does not. But she also... That Celebration cigar picture... is the one that fucking got me. When I saw that, I was like, oh, you're being an antagonistic asshole.
Yeah,
so it's not just that you hate trans people. You are also hating trans people and mocking them and gloating that your fucking cause won over theirs. It's like, that makes you a piece of shit in my book. So I'm just going to put her on F just out of spite. But I'm sure as if you like the Harry Potters, you'd put her at probably A or B tier. But I can't do it. Sylvia Plath, I have not read. Again, isn't she poetry mainly?
I think so. I'm not sure.
Did she do the Bell Jar? I have not read Sylvia Plath, so I can't judge. Nabokov. This is a tough one because I have not read Nabokov. I think I read some short stories actually, but I haven't read like Lolita. I would imagine he's got to at least be A or B tier.
Especially if you can make that Lolita story work without like creeping people out too much, or I don't know, like they probably get creeped out.
If you're putting that book on a list of top 10 books, you did something right.
Right.
Edgar Allan Poe. I would have to say I would put Poe at I don't know, Cask of Amontillado is a fucking great story.
I mean,
The Telltale Heart.
I'd say I'd probably just go with B tier just because like all I've written is The Raven and those short poems and stuff like that.
Yeah, you haven't read the story.
Yeah, so I haven't read like any of his bigger stuff.
But even The Raven.
Yeah, that's why I say I would at least go B. You know, I could see you going higher with you.
I would give Poe an A. I mean, he, again, some enduring works. I mean, not just The Raven, but you look at, like, The Telltale Heart. There's how many iterations of that? What the fuck is the name of the one with the swinging guillotine thing? I forget the Pit and the Pendulum.
Yeah.
But The Murder in the Rue Morgue is the one I haven't read yet, but he created the detective genre. So I would imagine he can't go below an A if you actually read his stories. Right. Hans Christian Andersen's got to be an S. Yeah. Motherfucker created like The Little Mermaid. Like, come on, all the shit that you're still seeing every day.
And the fucked up versions of those stories, like
the Ugly Duckling. Yeah, that motherfucker. He's done something. T.S. Eliot. I'm sick of hearing about T.S. Eliot. Every time we do one of these fucking lists, T.S. Eliot comes up. F.
Have you read any?
We read those dumbass quotes. Remember the fucking lines in the last 5 episodes? We did lines. I haven't read any T.S. Eliot other than those, but I didn't like them. F. Herman Melville.
I'm not.
Moby Dick.
Oh.
God damn it.
Well.
Yeah, god damn it. Fuck. See? Yeah, I mean, Moby Dick's great and all.
For, being what it was.
Yeah, and he had something Scribner or whatever. I don't know. I don't think he's had enough great works. And Moby Dick is one of those things. We were talking off air, or maybe we talked about it on air, actually. The Cormac McCarthy, that Lit Bro guy, had a video about Cormac McCarthy talking about you couldn't do Moby Dick now. That's true, because it's so fucking long and drawn out. And you know what? No. Melville gets, at best, a C, because there's fucking chapters that are whale definitions.
Well I was going to say,
it's not storytelling.
Well, I was going to say, if you took out all the whaling stuff and you just, like, they abridged it to just the actual story, do you think... Like that would bump it up at all?
No, it's just a fucking whale. This next one I don't know about. Jorge Luis Borges.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't remember what he wrote. William Faulkner. This is where we get into the Cormacian things where I like his work, but I would say as a storyteller, C or D.
Yeah.
I mean, I only read As I Lay Dying and Sound and the Fury. So if inventiveness, you could put him up high, but as far as actually just telling a good, solid story that people can understand and relate to, I have not seen that yet from him, so I can't put him above a D.
Okay.
I guess I would say D. This is one we can actually judge for once.
All right.
Albert Camus.
Yeah.
Stranger, The Plague. I put him in a solid C.
Yeah. Yeah, seems about right.
He intertwined some interesting philosophy in the works, but as far as the storytelling, it's kind of not bare bones, but more basic.
Yeah, I mean, I like I probably like the Not The Plague, but what was the other one?
Stranger.
I probably like that one. More just with having like that character and stuff. I feel that was pretty interesting character and stuff.
What's that guy's name again?
In the story.
Yeah,
I can't
I'm
remember.
sorry, I'm chewing ice into the mic. Yeah, what the fuck? He had a funny name. Marcel. I don't know. Marcel or something. I don't know. Next up, J.D. Salinger. I didn't like The Catcher in the Rye.
Yeah, you were.
I mean, as far as the story, it was told.
It was a thing.
But I did not care for the whiny bullshitness of it. And I heard his short stories are amazing. I can't rate them.
So you would say he's a big phony?
Big phony. Also, I don't know if he was a war hero. He was in war. If you're in war, it doesn't always mean you're a war hero. I feel like if you're famous, they just say you're a war hero. This one's a toss-up. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. He has so many stories.
Yeah.
But I feel like once you start reading the Sherlock Holmes stuff, you do get Robert E. Howard feel of like, these are all told kind of the same.
Yeah.
Same formula. That's another thing. When you get to formulaic writing, can you say you're a great storyteller if you're doing the same? I mean, if it works, it works.
Well,
but B?
Yeah, I mean,
B's fair.
I've only read that first Sherlock Holmes story, but
I think they're all pretty similar. Alexander Dumas. Three Musketeers and the Count of Monte Cristo. I think that just puts them up at least I haven't read either, but I would imagine B tier.
Yeah.
Apparently, both are very fun.
I think they're like very actiony,
but they're big. That's why I haven't read them yet. Miguel de Cervantes. I mean, I gotta put him at S tier because I love Don Quixote so much, but I don't know. That's a fucking fun ass story. I can't. He hasn't written enough, so I don't know if you could actually include him on the list because he just has Don Quixote.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, was there like much of anything else?
I didn't
know if like short stories or something like.
But the fact that he created like the modern novel, I would put him at least an A tier.
Yeah,
I think that'd be more fair as an A tier because it's fun. But again, translation, he had a more archaic Spanish language in the original. It's hard to say. Some guy named Homer Simpson. No, just Homer. Homer. We don't even know if Homer actually wrote the Odyssey. We just assume he did. If he just went longevity.
Yeah.
I don't think you could put Homer on the list just because there's too many asterisks and complications that goes along with Homer. If you had to, I would say the Odyssey as an epic poem would be C, B.
It gets kind of repetitive, doesn't it?
Yeah. This would go. Iliad was kind of boring. This goes with like Dante Alighieri too. Where would you put the Divine Comedy? Like, would you put him at imaginative. Yeah. It is a story, but then I don't know if he's even on this. Yeah, he is. I see him later. So let's just do Dante real quick. I would put him on I don't think he could judge.
Yeah,
because one, he only had like 2 or 3 works, and the main one was Divine Comedy. But also the fact that it's an epic poem and it's from fucking 500 years ago or something. I don't think you can.
Yeah, it's so hard.
Well, Dante though is a little different because like we had Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Same time period.
Right.
So, fucking D.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, C, D, like.
I mean, it's interesting. Again, we're going to translations. We
like the first part.
Yeah, the Inferno. Solid. Solid B.
That was good there. And then just, you get.
Too much. Next up, Thomas Mann. I have read none.
No.
Buddenbrooks. Yeah, never. I heard of the name, nothing. Marcel Proust. I have not got myself to read Proust because he writes too long.
Yeah, that's a long, big writer.
Yeah, he's got like one of the longest stories ever written. So I'm not.
Jesus. Well, that seems like right up your alley, though.
I don't like the French. If you've known me long enough, you know I have a problem with French for some reason. I don't know why, but even like Albert Camus, it was just something about and he was Algerian, but he was Algerian French, I think. Something about the French, their way of thinking, the language. I don't know. I just never was a big Frenchie. Something about it pisses me off. Even French fries, they got to be freedom fries.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, freedom fries. I'm waiting for that to become law.
Right.
Another Greek? No, we're not doing another Greek. Gustave Flaubert. I have not read Flaubert. Have you?
No.
I thought he was more like. Oh, he did. Yeah, that's right. He did Madame Bovary. No, can't judge. Lewis Carroll. I would say I couldn't get through The Looking Glass, but I did like Alice in Wonderland. C. I mean, the story's still around.
Yeah.
I don't know. Henry James, didn't he do Turn of the Screw?
I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with that person.
He was more of a Virginia Woolf, I think, type of writer. So I haven't read it. I'd imagine he's would be lower on the storytellers list. Nikolai Gogol, haven't read him. Anton Chekhov, I only read some short stories and they were solid, so I could at least say he's a C or a B, but I have not read enough works. Thomas Hardy, now we're getting to the people where it's like they're on my list, but they're always been lower, so I never gotten to. I don't know. He was one of those ones that was like a poet too, I think. I can't judge. Herman Hesse, have you read any Hesse?
I have not.
I have not either. Aesop. Didn't he have the Fables? Aesop's Fables?
Is that him?
Above S. Robert Louis Stevenson. I would say he's got to be an A tier. Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, Treasure Island.
All right. Yeah.
Fuck, I just read that Will-o'-the-Wisp, and I fucking loved it. It was great. It's a short story. So yeah, I would put him at least an A tier. Victor Hugo, I mean, you'd have to put him higher for The Hunchback. I think he did Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Okay.
But Les Mis, I mean, one of the most famous works. French.
Yeah.
Fucking goddamn French. So big.
That
musical.
That is a big one.
I mean, the book's probably not a musical. For some reason, it's always a musical.
That was something I've been actually meaning to ask you. Like, if you knew if somehow when that was written, if it was supposed to be meant to be like,
no.
So, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, maybe there's songs that I don't fucking know. I'm not
because anytime even when it's a movie, they still make it a musical, and like that makes me not want to fucking watch it.
Yeah. No, not my alley. Speaking of musicals, I don't know if it's actually a musical, but Confederacy of Dunces. I don't know if you've did any research yet, but fucking Nick Offerman
was like, I didn't know
plays Ignatius on the play. Well, he did during the play.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was like a play or whatever. Yeah,
it looked really funny.
Yeah,
I wish it was still around.
I'm sure you could probably find some
video, but that'd be a play I would actually go to see. Next up, I would imagine S tier, but I don't think I've read enough of his work to be able to judge. Isaac Asimov.
Okay.
But I mean, it's almost like when you're making your money off of sci-fi and pulp stuff, like you kind of have to be really good at storytelling.
Yeah, see, I've just read those iRobot stories.
Yeah. You could judge it a little better than me.
I would definitely say somewhere into that B, but like I haven't read like Foundation or anything like that.
I heard those are kind of dry.
So, but they still, so I mean that might be.
So maybe more of an A, B tier probably. Umberto Eco, I have not read his work, so I can't judge. Again, more fucking South American. John Milton. I would give John Milton a big old knuckle sandwich.
Oh, yeah.
Because Paradise Lost
was
too much for me.
And that was after reading The Divine Comedy.
Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't have went back to back with those, but again, I mean, that's the only story. Voltaire. Fuck Voltaire. That's the end of this list, so let's throw a couple of ours on and we can end this episode. How about that? Where would you throw a Vonnegut?
Oh,
I don't know why he's not on the list, but again, that was the greatest authors list, so they're a little judgmental.
But even still, just for that though, I mean,
well, they had Stephen King.
Yeah,
they don't have Voltaire. Before we go, not Voltaire, they had Voltaire. Before we go to Vonnegut, who I personally would put at least a.
I was saying at least an A.
I would say an A too.
I mean, I'm sure because like I've only read a couple of the novels. I'm sure once I get through, I can cement it into an S. But yeah, at least an A.
Yeah. Now, as far as this next one, I'm gonna put him on the S tier. Ray Bradbury.
Okay.
I mean, I've read enough of his short stories now.
Yeah, I gotta read that one collection that you.
Yeah, just fucking incredible writer. Shirley Jackson.
You've read more than I have, but I would put her at least for somewhere on the B to A's. You know,
I think B tier's fair. It's one of those ones that her work is a product of its time. So the story, but the way she tells stories, the ambience and everything, it's at least a B for me, maybe an A. I have to read more. I read The Lottery a long time ago, but I'd need to reread it. But I'd imagine that might even bump it up a little. Who else we got? Spencer, Yukio Mishima. I'd probably put it a C tier. I mean, because I was looking yesterday actually. That whole shelf is almost his works, and I read them all. So I really like them, but at the same time, storytelling versus like literary,
right.
You know, I'm C tier, maybe a B tier, depending on in the mood I'm in. I haven't read enough, but Chuck Palahniuk, where'd you?
I'd probably put him somewhere like in the B area, because I think he has like creative ideas.
Yeah, but again, it's storytelling.
True, but
the way that you tell. The story.
The way. I mean, I think like once you get more into like Fight Club, I think the next Ponic book you should check out if you want to get, if you think
that
you want
airplane one you always talk about?
the Survivors is really interesting. But yeah, I think he's somewhere in the B area.
This one might be a bit controversial because my opinions change. If you asked me 5 years ago, it would be a lot different.
Right.
Haruki Murakami.
Yeah.
I originally would have probably put him in an S tier, but now I think maybe a B tier. After we read so many of those short stories.
Just because of similarity of some of like his bigger work and stuff too. Like,
you know what? Since we were talking about like the Sherlock Holmes, like, when you have stories that all are written kind of like a formula. Yeah, so maybe even a C tier. That hurts me to say. So yeah, C tier for Haruki Murakami. I feel like we're missing some people.
I was gonna say, I don't think you could really give a grade, but I would go like H.G. Wells. I'd give him like a solid like B at least. I read the 4 main ones and they were all pretty entertaining and stuff, and also interesting and seeing like the original compared, Invasion, with the
War of the World.
Yeah, War of the Worlds. Like, you see so many different adaptations and stuff like that, but seeing the actual, the actual original story of it and stuff like that, and
So where do you put him?
Like a B.
Where would you put Robert E. Howard? You've read enough now.
Probably that B to C, just because again, like with the repetitive of his stories sometimes.
I would probably say a B or a C. What about a Lovecraft?
Oh,
it's hard because if you have to separate the language from the story, because the stories are solid, it's just a matter of understanding them sometimes.
Yeah,
is where I find it a little tough.
And if you can't understand the story,
but again, creating things that have survived to this very day and age that we're still using,
right?
I put them at a B.
Yeah, I mean that's probably fair. Yeah.
Shoot, I think we're running out of people that we've actually read a good bit of. So like I said, like the Harper Lees of the world, we can't really judge because you only got one work.
Well, I mean, there's one big name we haven't mentioned due to fuckery.
I will say before we do that, Cormac McCarthy, because this is what brought the whole idea on. It's like, I really love his works, but as a storyteller, at best C list.
Yeah, I mean, because like the only thing that I finished was The Road.
Yeah,
and that wasn't that much.
That was one of his more accessible books.
Yeah,
maybe his most accessible book as far as language and stuff. I would, and even that was a bare bones story. So storytelling, I think C is being generous, honestly. But what were you saying? The big one.
Neil Gaiman.
S tier.
Yeah, right. Like it sucks, right? Like
that's where you get into the Rawling territory. It's like, I just kind of want to say he's a fucking asshole, put him an F. But story wise, I have not read a bad.
Right.
The worst Gaiman book I've read, I would put at a B.
Right. Yeah.
Like God damn it, this sucks. Why did he have to be such a fucking asshole? A goddamn raper, a fucking garden tub guy. Why couldn't he just had a regular tub in the house, a hot tub?
That's somebody passed a law. Make a law for no fucking tubs in the yard. Just stop that shit.
No tubs in the yard.
front or back.
I used to really like that he had that writing gazebo in the woods in his backyard, and it was like, no internet or anything. You just go here and write. I was like, that's amazing. But now I'm like, what's he actually doing in there? The fuck's he doing? You want to go to my gazebo? No, I don't, Gaiman.
Why is it so sticky in here?
I knew the name should have been a giveaway. Nobody brags about being a Gaiman. I would have been a guy, man. That's worse. That's worse, actually. Fuck. So yeah, I think that's it. Unless you can think of a quick few other names.
I mean, maybe like the only other ones I could think of have been some of the modern guys that I've been reading that people probably don't, what I mean? No, so.
Oh my goodness, shit. That's good. Now we could always revisit if we had to, but yeah, who out of everyone we mentioned tops the tippy top of the S tier for you?
I mean, I'd probably have to go with Stephen King, probably just for
storytelling ability
and. With reading, he's definitely the most that I've read out of anybody on the list too. So I feel like I'd have the best understanding of that aspect.
Yeah.
You?
Well, Stephen King would probably come in second because the first guy The first guy has better endings.
Okay.
Neil Gaiman. Fucking god damn it.
Yeah.
That sucks. That does. Because I have a few, like 5 or 6 Gaiman books I still have on my shelf to read. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, like I wanted you to read fucking Neverwhere so bad. It's so good.
I just don't know if I can. Maybe in 10 years. Anyway, we thank you for listening. You can follow us at DPW Podcasts on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Spencer's OnlyFans. He is undulating uvulas in Utah for some reason on his OnlyFans. That's what's making him undulate?
You have to sign up to find out.
Please don't be wiener. You could check out my work at calebjamesk.com. I recently, which I still not got my copies, Hellbound Books Bladder Punk Volume 2 I'm in. Worth checking out. You could buy that on Amazon right now for, I don't know, $17, $18 I think. I also got work coming out in Starlight Pulp Review in June. I got a date. It's going to be in June. So keep an eye out for that, and I'll probably be doing a podcast for those fine folks. And also, I did an interview with Dragon Soul Press, which you can read on December 28th, 2025. So I'd imagine the information in that interview will it'll be grossly old. Like,
we'll make sure to remind you folks when it comes out.
I wouldn't have did the interview if I knew it was going to come out in almost a fucking year. What's the point? Because it asks like about future projects and shit. Well, fuck.
Yeah, they're gonna
be all done by then.
Because then also too, because it's not like you already have a story. Like it'd be like one thing, like if you had a story in a book that they were coming out later in the year.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but
yeah, and also they wanted you to name one of your favorite works, and I named the story that I'm shopping around now. I was like, oh, I'm shopping it around, so it might be picked up by then. I would hope so. Anyway, we'll check you out next week, I guess. I don't know. We're doing a double episode, so we'll check you out sometime. We undulate them uvulas. Woo.